Fabrizio Romano gives a big update on potential Manchester United transfers, ins and outs, as well as the future of Ten Hag, the latest on the INEOS takeover. But who could be the first out under INEOS? There's some suggestions coming in that it could be Victor Lindelof. We're going to dive into all the transfer stories. We're going to dive into stories that the secret talks going on over the discussion of a director of football, over the discussion of Ten Hag. But we're also going to talk about something I saw and something I read that pointed out the importance of a midfielder at Manchester United, and actually why I'm a little bit more lenient with Ten Hag, even though the football versus Villa wasn't amazing, with Martin has gone, with Luke Shaw gone, with certain absentees in terms of a profile of midfielder, why I'm quite patient and with Ten Hag this season. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. But let's go right into the first story. Stop my waffling, and I'm going to get through this news nice and quick for you guys because there's a lot to go through. This is the news on the outs here. As you can see, Lindelof is likely to leave Manchester United in the summer and move to Saudi Arabia where there's many offers. I think he'll probably just go somewhere in Italy or Spain, to be honest. I know with Victor Lindelof, United have extended his contract because they want to get money for him in the summer, and because he's on a much lower wage than other players, United feel they should be able to get money for him. They actually rejected offers for him last January, but they haven't really played much. Well, he hasn't really played much since last January, so I don't know how easy it's going to be to get money for Lindelof, especially because we're Man United and teams know that they can take the mick. But 20 million for Lindelof, yes, please. That's what I'm saying. Get him out. I mean, look, good squad player, but you're not going to get anywhere with Lindelof in the side. He's a good player, but he's not a great player. He's got. I don't have a problem with him, but he's scared of defending. I don't miss him when he's absent. I don't miss him. Evans and Varane exit looking likely. I don't want to get rid of Varane. I think he's an absolute beast. I'd keep him in another year. INEOS just seem not to be keen on it. Ten Hag doesn't seem to be keen on it. I don't know if it's a wage issue. I really think this stupid Varane, whatever's going on with him, just needs to be fixed. Wan-Bissaka, Mutsuwane, Ericsson, all potential exits, all people that could leave United within the next year. Sancho, Anthony, and Casemiro were offered to Saudi. Now, I know that Ten Hag likes Casemiro, would like to keep on to him, but obviously they're three high-wage players, and it looks like INEOS' mindset is let's get the high earners out. We don't know what INEOS' mindset is yet, 100%, because we haven't got director of football in, but that seems to be what's reported. Martial and Donny exit, basically they're done, and the Mejbri and Greenwood could likely be sold for FFP. Same with McTominay because they are homegrown. Now, let's get into the ins. Let's get into the first stories going about on transfers. So you've got the Mirror saying that De Ligt's future at Bayern is looking in doubt. I'm going to be honest, I don't want to buy players that Bayern are willing to sell anymore. Bayern weren't willing to sell Pavard. He had one left on his contract. They moved him on. They've got Kim Min-jae. They've got Upamecano. They've got other players at Bayern Munich. De Ligt I would have loved at United a few years ago. I just think there's better fish in the sea. Is De Ligt a bad centre-back? No. But is he a good centre-back? He's all right. I think there's better fish in the sea. I prefer Todibo. I prefer Branthwaite. I prefer Inacio even. I prefer Antonio Silva. I prefer Diomande. I prefer Lenny Euro's even looking very good. And, you know, Romano linked us to Antonio Silva, Edmund Tapsoba, and Jean-Claude Todibo and Lenny Euro as our right centre-back options, because right centre-back is the priority over left centre-back. And I prefer those four options down below. Antonio Silva's brilliant. It's the question mark. Is he too young? Big change in leagues. Todibo is probably the only one that's got real credibility because we know that INEOS approve of this guy and Ten Hag's approve of this guy. But again, what would the director of football think? Lenny Euro is going to be a baller. He's unbelievable for his age, but maybe he needs another year. But like João Neves needs another year before you rush them into United. And then Tapsoba's been very, very good. We also linked with Frimpong. Now, I don't think United are going to get Frimpong. I don't think United are going to allow Frimpong. But there's about a time a year ago where I really thought we would get Frimpong because we were very keen on him in that January window. But then Wan-Bissaka ended up staying and he ended up playing quite well. So it wasn't the end of the world. But Frimpong is a player that we'd have to change a whole system for because he's a very attacking right back. And with Deleu's recent resurgence, as much as I think right back is potentially needed, and if he's going to move Wan-Bissaka on right back is needed, full back depth is needed, I still think two midfielders, two centre-backs, a right winger and a striker is what I think of. And then I think of fullbacks at United. We've got Lutka saying that we're looking at both Frimpong and Tapsoba from Bayer Leverkusen. I'm sure everyone's just looking at Bayer Leverkusen players. They're going to win the Bundesliga. They've beaten Bayern 3-0. Romano also said we appreciate the guy with €40 million release clause. Quite a low release clause. I think a lot of teams will be in for him. I think he'll end up in the Premier League. I don't know if he'll end up at United. I don't think he'd go to Chelsea, but I bet you Chelsea will try and trigger that release clause. Who knows where he's going to go? Might be one to watch, but I think in terms of the system changes we'd have to make, I don't know if we're going to really go for him, to be honest. Now, this kind of inspired a bit of this video, and this was a tweet by Coach Cam. And this is why I think a new midfield signing at United this summer is so crucial. He said this: the tactical dimension simply does not exist in isolation. Klopp's Liverpool would be abysmal with a midfield of Ericsson, Busquets and Mata. Guardiola's City would utterly collapse with a midfield of Onana, Henderson, and Casemiro. Ten Hag needs a physically excellent team. That means players and conditioning, neither of which he currently has. The conditioning is, in particular, has killed Man United this season, and it won't be fixed this season. Likewise, the build-up structure necessitates line breaking, dictating centre-backs. Without Martinez, falls apart. Is Ten Hag getting the best out of the current squad? Probably not, but ultimately he's a ceiling raiser, not a floor raiser, and I think this is true. And if you don't know what this means, basically, Manchester United have midfield options like Eriksen, Amrabat, and Casemiro, who can't really cover the ground, they don't really have the legs. McTominay can't do what we need to do in possession. Basically, none of our midfielders can do what we need to do in possession other than Kobbie Mainoo. And we've obviously we've seen with the defence when Luke Shaw and Martinez aren't around, particularly when Martinez isn't around, all of a sudden we're struggling to break lines, play out from the back because that's such a key profile. What he's saying is, when you look at the profiles we have in midfield and defence, to play the certain way that Ten Hag would want to play, the way that Klopp would want to play, the way that Pep would want to play, United don't have the profiles to do that. The problem has been the midfield this season. It's been so easy to run through because we don't have players with the physical conditioning to cover mass amounts of ground and press intensity in their legs. So what he is basically saying, and I think this is true, is while Ten Hag could be doing more with the side, he also doesn't have the technical and physical players to play the way that he wants consistently. We see how much better we are when Martinez plays because we've got that technical player. We see how much worse we are when Martinez gone. We see how we're struggling in midfield, but actually if Klopp had to play Amrabat and Casemiro and Eriksen in his midfield, they would struggle a lot more because they would lose the legs. Not saying that it's Casemiro's fault, Amrabat's fault, or any of their fault. I think Casemiro's a great player. I thought he was fantastic the other game, so I don't want that to be misconceived. But I'm saying Casemiro's fine, but then you've got to have two midfielders that complement him really well around him. Do you know what I mean? It's about the physicalness, and I think we don't have the players that have the legs to do that. We need someone to partner Kobbie Mainoo with the legs. Casemiro's a great player. He's a brilliant player, but it's about, the legs that you can cover the ground to keep up with the top sides. And I don't think United have players with the physical and technical qualities in terms of numbers and depth to do that. When Martinez goes, it's massive. Martinez and Kobbie Mainoo, when they're out, it will be massive drop-off. Even when Højlund's got a massive drop-off, there's technical players there. And I think midfield is so important because we need to make sure we get the right midfield balance. We've got Kobbie Mainoo, we've got Bruno Fernandes, but we need to make sure we get someone that is good, someone that has the physical attributes needed, all the traits needed, and Ten Hag will raise the ceiling. Ten Hag's a guy that adapts good players and makes them better. He doesn't make crap players good. And I think that was a really good point there, is we just, Eriksen wouldn't be in any other big squad side because he doesn't have the legs. I think Eriksen's a good player, but the way we want to play doesn't suit. That's what I mean as well. Continuing on, because there is a lot of news to get into. In terms of other info, Ten Hag's future, all of that. Romano went on the United stand today and did say that United are scouting a lot of strikers, but it's still unclear what they'll do regarding signing one in terms of age, profile, etc. When sporting director comes in, we'll know more. And I think Romano's just being honest, like Man United want a striker, but Man United haven't actually put any names forward because they haven't got their new director of football in. Any kind of concrete links in regards to United will be when we got sporting director. Like basically everyone we link to take with a pinch of salt other than Todibo because of his links to INEOS, because we haven't got a sporting director in. And he said that Man United plan to keep things quiet in terms of new plans and a new deal for Ten Hag. There's probably secret talks going on with INEOS. INEOS are secretly probably talking about players. They're secretly talking to a potential director of football. They're secretly talking about Ten Hag, but they want to keep things quiet. Like the Omar Barada deal, INEOS just keeping everything on the down low, keeping everything quiet, which is quite nice actually, not to have a big media storm. In terms of other info coming out, because we've got a link to De Jong and Kimmich, Fabrizio Romano winners on the United stand today, basically said you're just going to hear a load of stories about De Jong coming from Barcelona's side because it's a complicated situation. Basically saying that Barcelona's going to put out a load of stories linking him here, there, everywhere, like they did last time. A lot of them might not be true to begin with. It's just their way of selling him. And he said nothing's guaranteed with Frankie De Jong leaving Barcelona, but they have to make a decision on players like him and Araujo because of all their problems. He could leave. I think United will go for him. I think actually he'd be the perfect signing for Arsenal, and the perfect signing for United would be Tchouaméni. I'm talking about how crucial Man United's next midfield signing will be. If Man United went all out for Tchouaméni, bosh. Frankie De Jong would be a great addition to the midfield, but I still think we need a natural six. But I don't think Frankie De Jong will come to United. The other player we're linked to has been Kimmich. 1 year left on his contract. Could be done on the cheap. INEOS might try and take advantage of that. Other big sides are in for him. But I think it's just one of those where they're going to link the player to Man United because INEOS kind of sort of made indications that their strategy wouldn't be going for aging players with bigger clubs. So I don't know if there would be an approach for Kimmich. We will have to wait and see. In terms of the final story on the takeover, it was said that Ratcliffe's 25% stake in United is unlikely to be approved by the Premier League this week. There seems to be some delays going on with that. And Romano also spoke about the sporting director, and he said the reality is, if not next week, the end of the month, we should sort of get an idea of who the sporting director is before INEOS officially underway. I think March is still a good time to get a director of football. Romano expects the director of football to be sorted next month. There has been a lot of delays with the director of football and a lot of uncertainty around who this director of football at Manchester United is going to be. Part of me just sit here and go, maybe they're really going for Dan Ashworth and it's a difficult deal, which is why it's dragged on so long and why it's so quiet. Another part of me goes, maybe they can't get Dan Ashworth and they're looking elsewhere. There's been a few names that we've been linked to, a few names to keep an eye on. I've done previous videos on that. If we get any more info, we'll do more videos on that as well. But apparently Real Madrid have asked their scouts to keep an eye on Rasmus Højlund and Garnacho as well, another story coming out. We will speak about that later on. But guys, thank you for watching today's video. Please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Share the video and all of that. Bye, see you.